So here, just so everyone knows, here's our maintenance guide. 2016 model, that's what this truck is, 2016 Toyota Tacoma. Everything except a Yaris. So maybe if you have a Yaris and you're watching this, you want to buy a Tacoma. Maybe, or maybe you just want to learn. So anyway, oil, there you go. Service 1 is an oil. Also, Service 2 includes Service 1, and basically Service 3 includes Service 1 too. So basically they're staggered every 8,000 kilometers, which means our oil needs to be changed every 8,000 kilometers. So let's go to the manual and see what type of oil we need to put in. So we are in our manual there, and for oil, Toyota Genuine Motor Oil, or an equivalent, which is this ILSAC GF50W20. So here I got this Royal Purple on sale. Looks like it fell on the floor, but it didn't. It's still perfectly sealed. And if we look on the back, we can see, there we go, ILSAC GF5 right there. So it meets all of the requirements of the Toyota. All right, and now that we are looking under the vehicle, you can see there's a tire. We actually have 4 12mm bolts. So there's one right there. If we back up, there's one right there. And if we pan over, there's one up in there and one over there. So I'll give you a better view. So we have our 12mm socket. And there's one bolt. And if you notice, the threads are nice. I always use anti-seize so the threads don't get rusted up and it makes them easy to take off. We might take the outside to the wire wheel to clean them up, but we'll see. Depends how I feel today. There's the second one off, and as you can see, it's loose at the front. So now what we can do is take the last 2 bolts off. We'll back up and do those ones. Now this screw I can just take out like this, or this bolt I should say. There we go. So as we pan in, you can see there's one hook, and the other one is on this side, should be up. It's actually right up in there. That's the other hook. There's one side's already unhooked. If I can just get this other side unhooked. Come on, Toyota, why do you do this to me every time? There we go. There we go, and our pan is off. All right, so we have our skid plate off. Here is the bolt. Now, for me, it's just a 14mm because this is a aluminum bolt with a magnetic end on it, so it's a 14, but I believe the factory is a 14 as well. And then if we scroll up in here, we can see there is our oil filter. Important to wear gloves too. You don't want to get this stuff all over your hands. It's not good for you. So we're just gonna loosen it up. There we go. I'm holding up the pan nice and tight here because I'm gonna undo this with my hand. And while it's draining, we can talk about the plug. There's the plug, and there is next to nothing on the plug. You can see there is a little bit of discoloration there. Maybe I'll even show it on the bench. I'll save this rag as an exhibit. As you can see, we put a new washer on, so this way we make sure that we don't get any leaks. We're gonna give it a little rub, or a little wipe off here. I guess it's kind of like a rub. Just give it a little wipe off here. No more oil coming out. So now there's 2 ways to do this. You can take out the center and you can drain it, or you can use one of these tools and it just goes on, turn it counterclockwise, and it'll come off. Now, if you do that, the only thing is, you're gonna get oil dripping all over the place. So, I mean, sometimes if I'm in a rush, I just take it off like that and it doesn't really matter. I have rag. But for today's episode, we're gonna do something special. We're gonna take this off and we're actually going to drain it. Now, when we drain the oil filter, there's 2 things that come with them sometimes. I'll show you. So, they both accomplish the same thing. This one here, you just push it in and then the oil will come out. And then this one here, you twist it in. All right, so now we're gonna drain the oil filter. We get a 3/8 extension, and we're just gonna take this part out here. So we're just gonna loosen off this. And it wants to take off the whole filter. So this is not what I wanted. I wanted to show you guys how to do just this part. So, and it's too tight. It's gonna take off the filter. So I do have a plan. Now normally I would just spin it off like that, but the thing is I really want to show you guys how to drain it and not make a mess. So I got my impact gun in reverse. It's just going to give it a good jolt, and hopefully this will take it off. And there we go. It did, it took it off. Now, if you don't have an impact gun, you can obviously do it on the bench, but if the whole thing turns, don't worry, just turn it off. Just have a few rags. Doesn't actually make that much of a mess, but anyway, you can see this white part here. This is actually a little O-ring. If it falls in the oil, it doesn't matter. The new filters always come with a new one. Now, like I said earlier, you have two things. So this one can either, it'll push in, it snaps in, or you got the kind that twists in. And the kind that twists in, I find, is easier just because once you push it, you get a big gush of oil. So I like the twist-in one. So all we do is we actually screw it in. You can see there it's biting on the threads already. There we go. So, and then there you go. And it just drains it. You don't even have to turn it all the way in if you don't want to. I can turn this more. And there we go. I've screwed it right in. So now it's just draining. So now what we do is we just unscrew this thing right here, take it out. There we go, now I've taken it out. Now just to show you the other one, because there's almost nothing left in it now, but if you did, you would just go like this and you just push it in. There you go. And it's pushed in like that. And you can see there you go. You can see there's a little bit of oil coming out, almost next to nothing. So that's how the other one works. But then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our tool like this. Our tool goes right like that. It connects to our ratchet, our 3/8 drive ratchet. So we put our tool on, just like so. And it can pretty much go on anyway. I know it has these things here and you can line them up, but I don't think it makes all that much of a difference really. Maybe if it's super tight, but it will go on anyway. And then now we can just loosen it off. And I'll throw up the link for this tool if you guys don't have it. It fits pretty much all Toyotas and all Lexuses. And there we have it. So here I have two filters. Fram part number is 9972. So this is a new replacement filter for it. It looks like this. Or you can go with a Toyota genuine filter. That's what we're going to use on today's episode. And this is what the Toyota one looks like. So there's the Fram, and there's the Toyota genuine one. And here's our new O-rings, just like that. So we're gonna pull this one out. This one can be disposed of. We'll dispose of that property. We have our new one that's gonna go in there, just like so, our new Toyota one. We can actually pull this off. This one stretches very easily. It's a silicone one. This was a Fram one, so we're just gonna take that off. We're gonna put our Toyota one on. There we go, and we have that installed. And then on the back part here, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna make sure it's clean. So we'll take a new rag. There we go, make sure it's nice and clean. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our new seal in. There's our new seal in. And then our cover can go in, just like so. And we'll snug that up once we're in the car. And this big thing goes to 25 Newton meters. So we have our filter. We're gonna lubricate the O-ring. So we just put a little bit of oil around the O-ring, make sure it's lubricated. Get up in here and start spinning it in. Now the one thing to make sure when you're tightening it up is just to make sure that the O-ring actually doesn't bind. I've seen them where they can actually pop out and you're screwing it in and they pop out. So just make sure when you screw it in, and you can feel once it starts getting tighter, that the O-ring is in all the way around. You don't want these too tight. It was 25 Newton meters is what these are supposed to be tightened to. So not that tight. A lot of people go way too tight on them, and you really don't have to. And then now we're just gonna tighten this one up. There we go. And now time to put our cover back on the bottom. And there we go, I have one on. You can see it's hanging. I just gotta get the other one on. This one on the left side is always a little bit harder to do. There we go. And our skid plate is back on. And now what I'll do is I'll just put one of the bolts there just to hold it, and then I can line up the rest of the bolts. And if you notice, I have a good amount of anti-seize on these bolts, and it just keeps the threads good from rusting. There we go, and I can get the front 2 bolts in, right in there. And these really don't have to be that tight. So there you go, skid plates up. Now before we lower it down and fill it up, the one thing I wanted to share with you all is there is grease nipples under this Toyota. So if we go back here, we can start, here's the first one. You can see there's a drive shaft, and I can just move it freely with my hand, just like this. I can move it back and forth. And then if we keep going back, here it is, right in the side. So we're gonna grease it right there. So that's where this one is. It's on the back of the transfer case. The grease nipples right there. And then as we keep going back, there you go at this joint. You can see there's one right there. So we're gonna get that one. And then right at the rear differential, or right in front of the rear differential, last one is right there. So I'm just gonna make sure that I grease up those nipples and then we're gonna lower it down. Now the manual said it takes close to 6 liters. I think it was 5.9, and this is only 4.73 liters or 5 quarts. So we're probably gonna have to add about another liter or so, or another quart. There, put the light there so you can see a little bit better. All you do is you go into your apps. There you go, you can go maintenance. Now this is a Canadian vehicle. And then in your maintenance there, you can see they're both blue, and you can just you can set it for whatever you want. I set it for 8,000 kilometers, that's what the manual says. Now we can go back here, and then there's your oil filter and today's date again. 8,000 kilometers, remaining 8,000. And then it'll just turn red and I'll get a signal when I should change them. Those are the only 2 ones that I use, but you could put coolant, anything else, your trans fluid, anything else you want. But anyway, that's how you do it in the Canadian version of this truck. So what tools did I use? Well, not a heck of a lot. I used my 14 mil wrench, a ratchet, 3/8 extension. I used this special tool. Like I said, I'll throw a link if you want to get it. That's to remove the oil filter housing. And then I used my grease gun just to grease up those fittings on the drive shaft. So really that's it. So nice, easy video. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Hope to see you on the next one. Any questions, let me know. GarageKing, over and out.